Hello and welcome to Virtual Sunday School for today, the third Sunday in Advent and the 13th of December. So as I say, we've made it to the third week in Advent, and this week we're going to think about joy. So we've lit our 3 candles, we thought about hope, and then we thought about peace, and this week we think about joy. Let me ask you a question. Are you a happy person or a miserable person? I'm guessing the answer is probably both, really, depending on what day it is, what's happened at school, what's for tea, how much your siblings are annoying you, and so on. Having joy isn't really about being happy all the time. It's not about being woohoo happy, but it's that deep down feeling of happiness and contentment as we think about what God has done through Jesus and what he continues to do through the Holy Spirit. It's quite tricky, let's be honest, but we're going to think about some people who had great joy when they met Jesus. Jesus' birth brings us great joy, not because Christmas is exciting, or just because Christmas is really exciting, but because of all those things we've been reading in Isaiah over the last couple of weeks. Let's read it again. Isaiah chapter 9. For to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Of the increase of his government and peace there will be no end. He will reign on David's throne and over his kingdom, establishing and upholding it with justice and righteousness from that time on and forever. When Jesus was born, we were promised that he will reign with justice and righteousness forever. God is in control, and we can celebrate that, even when we're tired and hungry or just a bit grumpy. We're going to hear about some people who visited Jesus not very long after he was born, the wise men. Now, I'm guessing you probably have heard of them, and you heard that they brought their gifts of gold, frankincense and myrrh. But today, I want to focus on and think about their reaction when they met Jesus. And I'm going to read just 2 verses of that passage about the wise men visiting Jesus. And it comes from Matthew's Gospel, so the first of the 4 Gospels, and it's chapter 2, and it's verses 10 and 11. When they saw the star, they were overjoyed. On coming to the house, they saw the child with his mother Mary. They bowed down and worshipped him. Then they opened their treasures and presented him with gifts of gold and of incense and of myrrh. They were overjoyed and bowed down and worshipped him. I imagine, I don't know this, it doesn't tell us in the Bible, but I'd love to imagine that when they left that place and they set off back on their long, long journey home, they had huge smiles on their faces. So what about us? We don't feel happy all the time. But having joy in Jesus is more about being grateful, being able to be grateful and to acknowledge what God has done, even when perhaps we don't feel happy. As we start this last week of term and we get really close to Christmas, let's try to remember what we're celebrating. Try and think every single day this week of something, anything you have to thank God for. And then obviously remember to thank him. And that is having joy in God. That remembering and acknowledging the good things that God has done. For today's activity, we're going to make a joy banner like this. Let's try that way. Which reminds us to have joy in Jesus. I know the J is the wrong way around for you, but you'll see. So I've sent you the letters to print out, or you can draw them, they're not very tricky. Stick them together in a big long banner. Colour them in, cut them out, and then stick them together. The details of how to do it are all on the email that I've sent. And if you're drawing it, make sure you leave enough space at the bottom of each letter to stick them together, so they're not overlapping. I've also sent you a prayer game to play with your family, or by yourself. You can do it either, it doesn't matter, and you'll need a dice to do that. Just a normal dice out of a game, a different way to pray using a dice. So have a great week, and I'll see you soon. Bye.